Howdy y'all, this is Dwight and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be heat treating this pocket knife that we're in the process of making. I didn't end up doing it over the weekend like I thought I might, so I'm going to get it done today. And I'm not going to show the process because again, everybody's heat treat oven is a little different temperature wise, so on and so forth. But I will show you what I am using, so I will turn you around and we'll take a look. Okay, this is what I'm using. It is the Tabletop Kiln. The Tabletop is the brand. It is, I got it for less than $1,000, brand new. I think the price might have changed a little bit, but it's still under $1,000. It gets up to 2200 degrees in 10 minutes is what it's advertised at, and it does get up there really quick. I haven't really timed it, but and one nice thing for me is it takes just a regular 110 electrical outlet. It isn't very large, so like if you're into making fixed blades and things of that nature, this would be probably rather small, unless you're just making very small fixed blades. But for pocket knives, this works just great, at least it does for me. I made this little wiggly thing out of wire, that way I can set, actually I'll show you real quick, that way I can set my parts in there and they can stand up. Like so. That way I don't have to lay them down on their side. I personally think that helps with warpage, but that might be a moot point, I don't know. But that is my heat treat oven. And now what I do for quenching is I have these two aluminum plates, and I bring my parts out, set them on here, and I press down until they cool down to where I can handle them. So that is how I quench my knife parts. Of course, this is once again CPM 154. So that's about all I can say about this step. So once I get all this done, I will be back and we will go from there. Okay, I got my blade and back spring out of heat treat. As you can tell, I don't use any heat treat foil. Yeah, the parts don't stay clean, but I haven't had much problem with it, because for this next step, before I put them on my surface grinder attachment, I'm going to make sure they're flat. And I do that with a piece of 180 DA paper on the aluminum block. The reason why I make sure they're flat is if you put a warp part on your surface grinder, you're more than likely going to have a warp part whenever you take it off the surface grinder, because the magnets will pull it in flush onto the surface. Then whenever you take it off, it will spring back to where it was. Try to do reasonably even pressure, because if you just push in the middle, which honestly I catch myself doing sometimes, if it is warped, you can be pushing it down. So there we go. I ain't going to get crazy and shine it all the way up, but I don't know if you can see, but we don't have anything major dark spots showing. It's pretty even throughout. So now we will do the blade. And this will clog up sandpaper fairly quickly. So I'm always making sure to keep, it comes in a roll like this at sticky back. I always keep a roll on hand. I actually have another roll already because I know that it disappears quick. Now, see, this is looking pretty good too. I mean, yeah, you're going to see little bitty dark spots here and there, but nothing drastic. So we'll go to the surface grinder attachment. Okay, I got my surface grinder attachment on my Ameribraid 2x72 belt grinder, and I have my knife parts already on here. The way this is set up is it has little individual magnets that go in these spots on the base plate. So you can actually get more magnets and put in if you want. They just simply turn on by twisting the knob, and they turn off whenever you untwist the knob. Seems to do very well, at least for me it has so far on these pocket knife parts. I have a sewing machine light. The magnetic bases with the LED lights are really handy. One thing I will mention is whenever I am going back and forth, I do a very slow and do my best at a even pull for going back and forth. And my reasoning for that is I have seen somebody with one of these and they was just flying back and forth, and then they said it wasn't accurate. I was like, well, yeah, in my opinion, that's a given, because in any stand-up regular, like a rock surface grinder, you know, that's the prime thing to get, obviously, but they don't move fast. Like, you can see them really cranking the wheel real fast, and the table is still moving at a slow, steady speed, even though they're cranking the wheel really quick. So that is why I do a slow, even passes, and I get a better finish that way. So that's just a tip. You can take it or leave it, but that's just my experience. I'm not going to actually show doing this. Once again, it's noisy, and you know, I only go in a half, at the most a thousandths, but usually a half thousandths at a time, and I just go until the parts are clean. So we'll be back when I have them cleaned up. Okay, just got these off the surface grinder, and that's the last time I'm going to use that belt, because you'll really notice here on the blade it's starting to put a streaky finish on it. So once that starts happening, that belt is very much due for a change. So keep that in mind if you're just starting out with a surface grinder attachment. Next, I'm going to cut out my liner material. I've got some 40 thousandths thick stainless steel, and which is what my pattern's made out of. And take my trusty dusty scribe pen and scribe around my pattern. Okay. There we go. Now that I have that done, I will take my angle grinder with the cutoff wheel, cut these out, and then I will take these over to my belt grinder and clean them up. And once I have that done, I'll be back. Okay, I got them cut out in rough shape. As you can see, they're scratched and yeah, they're rough as a cob. That's okay, because they're going to get shined up later on in the process. Next, I am going to be drilling my pivot hole and the end back spring hole. So I'm going to center punch through my pattern here. to help keep things even from liner to liner, I only do either the pivot or the end back spring hole first, and then I do the end one. Okay, now how I go about getting the end hole is I take my pattern, I take a pin, I put it in the pivot hole, and then I center punch the end back spring hole. And that keeps my distance even. So now I'll drill these holes. Okay, I got both of the holes drilled, and I went ahead and put them together. Well, you can see, doing it that way, I kept the distance even and they're square. So that will do it for this particular video. I'm starting to run out of memory here pretty quick, and the next steps will be a little bit more time consuming because I'm going to start fitting these parts up together and so on and so forth. So I really do appreciate everyone that is following along on this series, and until y'all come back and watch my next video, y'all take care.